There we
Eric,
go.
I sure do like your hat, dude.
You like that? What about the shirt?
I like the shirt.
Yours is pretty
And
nice
then
too.
I have a nice shirt on too. Like this logo stuff we're working with tonight. I wish I could have found my driven hat and we'd have just gone all driven, but I couldn't. And it's probably just ruined by now. It's probably laying in the car somewhere, faded out. Anyways, you ready for this?
I think so.
Let's do it. Well, guys, welcome to episode 117 of the Drag Drive Repeat Show presented by Summit Racing. Tonight, this is going to be a good one. We have Bill Alexander from Driven Racing Oil on with us tonight. He's going to talk, I don't know, everything driven, everything oil. We're going to learn stuff. We're going to have fun stories. One of the other folks there, Nolan, who does a lot of their stuff there behind the scenes, he said that we have to ask Bill about how he almost got in a fight with a metal artist back in the 1980s. So this is going to be fun one. Other than that, we've got a ton of stuff from the Drag and Drive community to go over tonight. So, Mr. Eric White, hit the intro. Let's do this thing.
All right, let's do it.
Man, like I said, I'm excited about tonight. I think this is gonna be a phone. I gotta turn the other video off. I was sharing the Drag Drive Repeat pages onto the group there. So yes, Brian, they do have some amazing spray wax. It's gonna be awesome to hear kind of how that all comes about tonight on episode 117 of the Drag Drive Repeat show presented by Summit Racing. Y'all, my name is Mike Narks. I host this show and the news that happens on Saturday. And my right hand man over here, the busiest dude in all of Dragon Drive right now. I'm telling you, he's covered up. Mr. Eric White, introduce yourself. Tell him what you got going on.
I am Eric White, co-host of the show and the news, everything Drag Drive Repeat related, helping out with a lot of other events with artwork and stuff like that. And then when I'm not doing that, 815 LSX Swaps is where you can see content on my personal vehicles and Motorsports Paparazzi, which has been going off lately, is where I cover every other type of automotive event, including drag and drive, but also drifting, circle track, monster trucks, anything that you want to see over there will be over there. So it's
Yeah.
been cool seeing that kind of blow up. We've got, what was it the other day? 6.5 million total channel views and just crossed over 4,000 subscribers on that channel. So pretty awesome.
Yeah, that thing is growing at leaps and bounds, man. Leaps and bounds. Well, man, this episode tonight's going to be a ton of fun. I'm really excited to have Bill on. Again, Driven Racing Oil. He is the guy that you see typically at most events. They're doing Sick Michigan Miles. They're doing the Havlix race, and they're doing a Corvette race all next week. So it's going to be nuts to talk to him. But I want to hear about all of the crazy stuff they got going on behind the scenes. So, guys, as we move into this episode tonight, please hit the share button for us. We can't do this without our race car friends, man. You guys are the lifeblood of this drag drive repeat thing we got going on over here. It's pretty awesome to be up late posting stuff, be up late doing artwork, doing whatever we got going on, and see somebody's comment or something like that. So thank you all very much for that. And then thank you so much to our sponsors. We appreciate them for being part of the program here. Summit Racing, Deechworks, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, obviously who's on tonight, Howard's Cams, J-Wire Solutions, Performer Built Transmissions, Car Chains 3D, Power Tube TV, Sweet Patina, Racing Junk Classifieds, and WAF Racing, all part of the program here. So if you're doing some shopping, hit those folks up, see if they got something that can work for you. And then Summit Racing Speed Legacy began in 1968 as a one-man startup and is now the world's speed shop with 4 facilities and 200 plus catalog editions. They feel your passion, save you money, deliver fast, and offer top-notch customer service for more than 1,500 brands. Make sure to download the Summit Racing mobile app for easy access to speed parts. Find them on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, and on the On All Cylinders podcast for more automotive discussions like this one. From humble origins to the social media lane, Summit Racing stands by your need for speed. You can find everything summitracing.com. And while you're in there, dude, definitely be looking for your Drag Drive Repeat branded Summit merch or a Summit branded Drag Drive Repeat merch, however you want to word that. We're excited to have them on here. They got big brim hats, which are definitely needed. But one thing they got going on right now is obviously summer savings. But I had to show this picture because it's got like a first gen C10 on it, and I got one of those. So this is their header photo right now. So I figured I would show that as well. But these guys are over at the Hot August Nights in Nevada. Make sure you go by Tommy Dupree and I can't remember the other guy that's working the booth there with him. Make sure you run by there, say hi to them. But also, dude, the Sparks Nevada warehouse / retail store is right there by the whole setup for everything. So it's like across the street from the Hot August Nights main stage, I guess you would call it. So run in there, pick you up some of that Drag Drive Repeat merch while you're standing in the warehouse as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All kinds of cool stuff. You know how our trip was. We got hooked in by the bargain area for sure.
Yeah, when we were in Texas for Mega Week, yeah, we had to run in there and do all that. But dude, do you know we didn't even buy you the big brim hat there at the store. That's what we should have done.
Right. But we got to see the cool magazine stand with all the catalogs, so that was neat.
Yep. Yeah. You mean the one that you took the cover photo for?
That'd be the one.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Well, that's awesome, man. All right. Well, cool. Well, let's guess. That's a huge car event out there. Tommy was saying something like 40,000 cars will come through that area
Wow.
this week. Like, that's insane to me. That is
Yeah.
insane. People from all over the world are there, so pretty cool. And of course, I had to grab this shot of this is from the On All Cylinders photo gallery. Dude, look at the hood scoop of this.
What is that? It almost looks like a little turbine.
Right? That's pretty cool. I thought that was neat on this Gasser Tri-Fi. Looks like a 55 or 6 model, something like that. Thought that was pretty cool.
That's my favorite thing about gassers and rat rods in general is you can make anything beat anything on those, which is right up my alley.
Yep. That's exactly right. All right. Well, tell us what's going on with Drag Driver Pete, sir.
All right. Listen, you guys have 24 hours left to get our newest shirt that is out right now. Our Parking Lot Beers t-shirt pre-order bundle goes through tomorrow at, is it 5 p.m., I believe?
5 p.m. Eastern. Yep.
5 p.m. So if you want to get this pre-order deal, it comes with free shipping, a Parking Lot Beers decal, and the Race Car Friends decal. All of that, $30 for the t-shirts. Like, you guys need to head over and get that. This thing is gonna be awesome. I can't wait to get my hands on one.
Yeah, I'm ready. And that's like, I mean, not to be out here saying this, but that's like a $17 extra throw in there. So people understand, like we're really making you a good deal here. I ordered all the new Parking Lot Beers decals that will go with these shirts as well. Ordered those today, so they'll be in. So we made sure we had enough for this. Pretty big order there. I was kind of excited about doing that. And yeah, man, Race Car Friends decal, can't even buy that anywhere else. So we're placing the order on Friday. So Thursday night, that gives me time to put all that together, and then we're placing the order on Friday. Hopefully have them by the end of August. I would say maybe sooner than that. I don't know. But as soon as we get them, I'm driving to Great Apparel Printing and Design in Eudora, Kansas, picking them up, and then coming back home and shipping those dudes out.
Yep. Appreciate everybody who has already placed orders. It's been going crazy. My email has been blowing up, seeing all the orders, which is really cool to see. Like, this isn't what we do all the time is design and release shirts, but when we do and everybody likes it, it's really cool to see the amount of orders coming in. And and for me, this was one of the first designs I did outside of our main logo. So to be able to see it on a t-shirt is going to be, pretty incredible.
Yeah, I'm pumped about this shirt. I think this is going to be one that is going to do well for a long time.
I should have hid my initials somewhere in that can somewhere.
Right, that would have been great. Dude, you could have put it in the little in the lace or whatever that is down there.
Right.
That would have been cool. We'll do that on the next one. That'll be coming out in a few months. So yeah, that's awesome. All right. Next up is the circuit updates. We've got, the circuit 2025. This will probably we'll have one more update after this for the circuit 2025. And then we're right into planning and updates for the circuit 2026. So get ready. This is, we're doing the check presentation on Sunday, this Sunday, August 10th. So if you want to be a participant in that, you didn't have to come to the circuit. If you want to bring your cool car and go to the youth services of Tulsa with us, bring it on. We're excited about this opportunity to present. I had Miller's Ale print out huge checks for us. I think they're 5 feet long. I've got 2 of them. So we've got plenty of check there to kind of, give to people, to give to these folks to present for this. So I'm excited. $15,555 raised for the youth services of Tulsa from the circuit 2025. It's absolutely crazy. And we're going to meet at Tulsa Raceway Park on Sunday. They're hosting a Cars, Coffee, and Drags that morning, which is like $10 drag racing. There's a burnout competition, all this kind of stuff going on there. It's their summer cruise in, hosted by Cars and Coffee Tulsa. We're going to meet there, and at 1:00 we're going to roll out to downtown Tulsa to the youth services of Tulsa. I'm driving the cart over, man. I'm kind of ready.
That'll be cool.
Been in the cart since Mega Week.
I was going to ask, have you driven it since Mega Week? But
I hadn't even touched it. I parked it in the garage and was like, I don't want to see that car.
Did you get all the water out of the interior yet?
Oh yeah, it's finally dry.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. I obviously, as far away as I am, obviously can't make it, but would definitely be cool to be there when that gets presented. So hopefully everybody else that is nearby can head over there.
Yep, I hope so, man. I hope we have a good time. So that's cool. Well, I know Driven is on later, but I want to go ahead and keep the Driven Racing Oil event updates in the same spot.
Oh yeah, you bet. Driven Racing Oil is, the best oil that's out there. So let's just throw that out there to begin with. I wish I had a jug of it. So like Ricky Bobby, if you don't use Driven Racing Oil, then screw you. But all right, Driven Racing Oil is the performance engine oil that can do it all. GP1 is the ultimate oil for any race or performance application, whether launching hard at the drag strip, enduring the extreme heat of off-road and circle track, or even pushing limits in top fuel drag boats and demo derbies. Winning racers choose GP1. It's compatible with engines from classic hot rods all the way to cutting-edge race machines. GP1's unique surface cling and high zinc formulation ensures superior wear protection, particularly for those flat tappet camshafts, while also solving issues like cylinder washout with methanol and ethanol fuels. It's crafted from the legendary Bradford, Pennsylvania base oil, then enhanced with state-of-the-art additive packages. GP1 is the best in protection and performance. And you guys know drivenracingoil.com is where you can go get your oil, the spray wax that we were talking about earlier, or any other merchandise like this hat, these t-shirts that we're wearing. But if you want to get a discount, DDR10 will get you 10% off of their website. So make sure if you're buying something, use code DDR10, and also check them out on Facebook and Instagram at Driven Racing Oil, because that is where you're going to see what events that they're going to be at, and maybe they're nearby and you can go talk to them in person.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be at some events nearby. They're going to be Driven is also set up at Hot August Nights.
Yep. So if you're over by there, it looks like Ken is going to be working the booth. So make sure you go by, tell Ken hi, and tell him that you saw Driven on Drag Drive Repeat.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I don't think we've gotten to hang out with Ken before, but I'm excited to see him at some point throughout this year or next year or something like that. So the Driven team continues to grow as we move along. Well, events, man. Let's talk about some drag and drive events. This is kind of drag and drive adjacent. it's kind of like what we talked about with streetcar bragging rights, but Roadkill Nights is this weekend. And if you guys haven't seen, you've been living under a rock, man. This thing looks like it's going to be awesome. I meant to put the photo. So I was texting with Mike Galimi today. He was on a podcast last week that I was listening to today, and he was talking about the Roadkill Nights and all that stuff. And they're already set up. And he sent me a picture of the stands and everything they have set up there, right there on Woodward. They're going to be racing on the street again this year, so I'm excited about that.
That is definitely, we say it all the time, but that's another event that is actually fairly close to my house. It's a little bit of a drive, obviously being over in Michigan. But man, that's one that I want to go to, just to see them on Woodward and racing down the street would be super cool.
Well, and I think 2026 may be the year I go to a lot of stuff I haven't gone to before. And this is definitely on my list.
It's so hard because we've got the staple ones that we've been going to, and it's going to be weird to, to end up skipping some of those to go to some new events. But I don't know how else we can get to them.
Right? Yeah. I don't know if I can be away from home anymore unless she comes with me.
Yes, agree.
So, yeah, Roadkill Nights this weekend. Obviously in Detroit, this is going to be a cool one, man. I'm pumped to see this go down.
Yep. And then starting in just 4 days, which seems like it flew up on us, is the Sick Michigan Miles, August 10th through 17th, which is ending at Woodward as well. So that's going to be super cool. Yeah. Looks like that route is 1,073 miles.
Yeah, that's a big one. I went ahead and grabbed a photo from sickthemagazine.com today. Dude, this like they literally weren't kidding. It's 1,000 miles within the state of Michigan.
Yeah. Yeah, literally there's only that lower left-hand corner that they're not traveling around. So you're almost going around the whole exterior of the state.
Yeah. Pretty awesome. And really it's a smart move, dude. He's from Michigan. A lot of the racers are from Michigan that follow Sick and do the events. And so this is cool. I mean, obviously they had no problem selling out. I think this is going to be a fun one. This is one of their one-off events and only happening this year. I would imagine they would take people that would show up day of. So if you haven't, Derek Putnam in here already said stoked about seeing new tracks and a ton of Michigan. Yeah, that's a Florida dude right there, going to be up there hanging out in Michigan. I think this is going to be fun. Obviously, I was at Ubley a couple weeks ago with Heads Up Hustle. I think that many cars taking over that track is really going to, kind of help spur that track, get them more business and all that. And then also Mid Michigan Motorplex is another location they're going to be at. I love that track, top 5 track for me for the year. So I think it's going to be gorgeous seeing all those cars there too.
Yep. So real quick, I'll run through the track. So Sunday, day 0 is tech and testing at Durana, which obviously you guys know was Milan. Monday, racing at Durana. Tuesday, Mid-Michigan Motorplex. Wednesday, Northern Michigan Dragway. Thursday is a drive day, so no racing Thursday. Friday, Ubley Dragway. Saturday, you'll be at the Woodward Dream Cruise, and Sunday back to Durana. Man, that's going to be a ton of fun.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge event. And, you think about that, dude, that's like 8 days.
That is true.
That's a long event. That's a long event. And it takes that kind of time to go 1,000 miles. But I was looking at the map while you were talking there. So if we look at, I would assume the blue squares are the tracks. That's just my assumption. You look at that route, like you're going to be basically after Mid Michigan, you get over to the coast and you basically run the coast the entire rest of the way.
Yep.
Dude, that's going to end up in some of the most gorgeous views that we're going to see.
Yeah, the photos that come out of that are going to be top notch.
Yeah, that is for sure. Now, you and the wife, did y'all go to Wisconsin or were you in Michigan?
We were just in Michigan not that long ago. We were in upper UP though, so we were up above where all that is.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, you're in that other little part up there. Cool.
Yep, just up and to the left up there.
Yep. That's awesome.
But we've been in a lot of those areas that you see on there. We've been Detroit, we've been to Traverse City, we've been Grand Rapids. So we've seen a lot of that, and there is a ton of cool stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I can't wait, man. I'm missing not going on a big event because I haven't been week-long event since Mega Week.
Right.
So, and it's going to
Right.
be drag week before I go on my next one where I'm gone a week. So,
Yeah. But
anyways,
the reason we won't be at there is because the event that's coming up after this.
yes, the Havlicks fastest streetcar shootout tribute reunion beat down. I don't know what you want to call this race, but dude, this thing is going to be nuts. Have you seen the list of names that's on this thing?
It's insane.
Oh man, like heavy hitters from back in the day, from now, tons of drag and drive racers that are coming with, 6-second cars. The baddest street cars of all time is what it's titled as, and I think it's going to be. It's going to be so crazy. Yeah, Richard, the Dirty Panda, there saying, "I'm so excited." I am too, dude. I think this is going to be crazy. My plan is to leave Wednesday morning. I'm dropping one of the kids off, I think, at 8 at some cheer deal, or at sorry, 7 at school. It's our second day of school, so I'm leaving the day after my kids go back to school, dropping her, and I'm rolling north. So my plan is to be there, get set up, get our banners out, get our booth set up, and all that kind of stuff. And then as we get closer to the show here, I'll set up in the tower. And during the day, I'm just going to be trying to get people to come in and tell stories. So I'm bringing the wireless mics, I'm bringing the wired mics, I'm bringing everything that we can possibly have to capture all of the stuff that we can get right here on the live show. So next week's episode 118, is going to be live on site at the Havlicks deal.
Cordova Dragway.
Yep. Yep. It's going to be awesome. Richard Brewer here saying, you still swinging through my way? Yes, I will be right by him. And then we're going to convoy up is kind of the plan. And then Chris Legg with Hard Target Images says, we'll be doing a couple days of Michigan miles. So make sure you guys are following Hard Target Images, who's on here. Was that last week we did Media Mania or the week before?
Oh man, I think it was last week.
Yeah. I don't know. Time flies when we're having this much fun.
Do you think there's going to be a certain red and black race car coming to the Havlicks?
Yeah. Which one?
One that's got new license plates on it that I saw. Did you see those license plates?
Says enjoy second.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely got a good laugh out of that.
Oh man, I hope it is. I want to get up close and personal with that car. I want to rub my hands all over it and make fingerprints. That car is super cool. We're obviously talking about the Bryant Goldstone's Corvette, which we are talking about later in this episode as well. He's released what turbos are going to be on it, and they're big, and there's 2 of them.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, one last thing about Havlicks before we move on. I am bringing my wife with me on this event. She is coming. I guess I'm not bringing her, but she is meeting me there on Friday. So she's going to get to see kind of the whole deal that we'll be doing, which is going to be fun since we're so close to home. Short weekend event. So that's going to be exciting.
Yeah, that'll be really fun for you guys. I mean, it'll be weird me sleeping and they're snoring and you guys trying to cuddle, but I got you guys your own room. I don't want to hear any of that stuff. So so that'll be cool for her to be up there and kind of see how, my wife said the other day that she's like, I know you're not she's like, I know it's not a vacation, but you're not at home either. So
right. It is that weird balance. Like it is busy, it is working, but it is fun. So
yeah.
And she's going to get to see a ton of cool cars while we're there. So,
oh man, it's going to be awesome. Yeah, Dirty Panda says he's track camping. I had debated on doing that, but I'm not going to do that for this event. It's still too hot for me outside. I'm a fair weather camper. It needs to be in the 60s at night. I need to be comfortable.
Yeah.
Well, that's all right. Yeah, go ahead. Lead us in.
So moving on, the next weekend is the big weekend for regional events. We've got Dragway Rush, which has sold out 75 cars. We've got Cruise and Lose 2025, which is also sold out with 100 cars. And we have I-57 Drag and Drive. And Jacob is going to be on the news this weekend to talk about that event.
Yep. I didn't want to have to try and schedule that time in tonight, so we're going to put him on the news on Saturday, which is exciting. This is his first time to host a Drag and Drive, and I think the location is great for an event to be kicking up here, especially that weekend. Like you've got 3 across the country-ish. I mean, like Dragway Rush is pretty close to Detroit. It's US adjacent. So going to be pretty awesome. Huge weekend. And then of course, after that, man, it absolutely breaks loose with September and October being some of the craziest months. I feel like we've said that about every month, but there are some obviously huge events coming up, but then a lot of events as well. So, if you're packing in 49 events in basically what is 7 months, it gets pretty salty.
Yeah.
Because
I'd say so.
there's not much that was hosted between six sick week and then sick summer or mega week between that. So we've kind of packed everything into right on top of each other.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, Brandon Haber said I'm doing the whole week of Michigan Miles. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, that'll be
Just
cool.
make sure you're following him too, so you can grab some photos and stuff. That'll be cool. And then of course, if you need to see the whole list, dragdriverepeat.com/event list dash 2025 will get you that full event list. And obviously this picture that folks are watching on YouTube or Facebook here, this gives you, all the ones that are here in the US and Canada as of right now. And then there's more, actually, I need to add to this list, the I-57 and then Cruise and Lose as well. So need to get those knocked out tonight.
Sweet.
Yep. Kind of cool. Again, thanks a bunch to Driven Racing Oil, and I need you guys to hang out a little bit because Bill from Driven will be on here momentarily. All right, let's talk about some J-Wire Solutions stuff. J-Wire Solutions is your expert car and marine wiring solutions provider. J-Wire Solutions can wire and plumb your hot rod, your race car, your drag and drive car. Plus, they offer products to make your driving experience better, like the blinker module. Guys, you've heard me talk about this. This is a must for all drag and drive cars. This module allows your rear turn signals to blink even with the brake pedal applied, which universal wiring harnesses do not do. So you got to have that, especially if you're going to have trailers on there, because people can't see your tail lights anymore. Well, I want to use this segment to talk about some Hot Rod Drag Week updates because our boys Fast Act Racing will be at Drag Week, the 20th running Hot Rod Drag Week 2025. It's going to be insane. So first up, though, sorry, we're not using this to talk about drag week. We're using this to talk about YouTubers that do drag and drive. Sorry, I got my notes mixed up here. So Friday night, 2 days from right now, TB Racing or our boy Tom Bagley, UK Tom, is dropping his Mega Week video, and I can't wait, dude. He's giving me some updates here and there on what has been going on with it, and I can't wait to see what this thing drops, man. It's going to be really, really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited because it's been a couple months now, and it'll be cool to go back and relive that event again. We had so much fun. We were so busy, but it's going to be cool to see it from somebody else's perspective as well.
Yep. Yeah, he said this Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific. So I guess that's what, 7 p.m. Eastern. He said the story behind how 6 friends banded together, gathered parts from fellow racers and awesome businesses, all intending to make the Nap Shack run a 10-second pass. He said many, many more people helped, far too many people to list. But these dudes right here coordinated, put in man hours, donated stuff. These guys are legends.
That's going to be cool.
Yeah.
This was such a cool photo, too.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Like everybody pointing at him.
Mm-hmm. Yes, what a great photo. What have I've mixed these up here, I think.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me change this. Lead us into the next one here.
All right. So
they're
going to go to the Hot Rod Drag Weeks?
Well, no. So they're going to be in the Molly segment. I'm gonna move them around here. So I'm fixing it now.
Hold, please. Technical difficulties.
Yeah. Right. That's what happens when you're so tired.
Speed money. Let's freaking go. Parking lot beers. Race cat friends.
All right. Where are we up to next here? So we're in J-Wire.
All right.
Tom Bagley. Oh,
got Tom Bagley.
Yep. There we go. We're good now.
All right. So we're going to be dropping links, which we've talked about before, to YouTube channels that attended Six Summer. We've already been dropping those ones, so hopefully you guys have been checking those out. But we are going to start dropping the ones that did Mega Week those channels we're going to be dropping starting tomorrow. So again, this is just kind of a way we see things from our perspective. We, share out all of our stuff, but this is a chance for you guys to actually see coverage from these events from another perspective, which is super cool. Like I said, with the Tom video dropping on Friday, it's just going to be cool to see how other people looked at the event, and actually, like in Tom's case, we're going to see like how his week went, which unless we follow somebody the entire time, we don't get to
Hmm.
see all of that.
Well, and I think that was what would be fun to do, right? But I don't have that kind of, I don't have that ability. I'm like, we need like three people to pit together and drive together that are in the same class, and then I can maybe follow them and do that with it. But
Right.
so there were like 34 or 35 YouTuber channels that were there, like people that were recording for YouTube, that put videos out for YouTube on summer 2025. So it's pretty cool. I don't know how many we'll see for Rocky Mountain. I've got the list, but I didn't assign numbers to them or anything like that. But it's a bunch.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's just kind of a neat thing that we can do to help share some of those other channels as well, because
Yep.
they've got great content as well.
Well, and again, it's a way for us to push more drag and drive in front of people. So if people by chance see our post, then obviously they're going to see all that as well. And then another great channel to watch. I hope you guys are following the Bucket List Mob, dude. Mike Heston and I today we're messaging back and forth. And oh yeah, Bucket List Mob. There's 7 days in a week, and some day isn't one of them. That's one of my favorite sayings. Yeah,
Yep, right there.
that's awesome. He said they're hiring a videographer for their trip to Six Smokies, and I asked kind of why, and he's like, "Man, because he's like, I want to race. I want to get back to racing." He's kind of been the video guy, he's taking the content, all that kind of stuff, and then going home and editing it. So this will be kind of neat to see, as people start taking that next step in their YouTube journey. Like, is this the right move for them? So they're actually. He sent me a screenshot of the plan they have, and dude, it's like he's like a director, like he's laying out the shots they want, where to put the cameras, when they're driving, where to put the cameras when they're racing, all that kind of stuff. So it'd be really cool, and to take the investment and bring someone with you that's a videographer, so you can take that out of your hands. Oh man, that would be huge for a racer, and it'll
Oh,
give us again another way to see another scene, another look at it.
yeah. Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Again, like you said, he can focus on racing, somebody else can gather the content, and it really is hard to do both.
Oh, that's an understatement. They're bringing 4 cars.
Well, yeah.
There's that as well. The number of cars trying to get all that content and edit it down and all that stuff. Oof. Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah. And if you haven't checked out their stuff, go check it out. The Winnebago is so cool. We got to check that out at Mega Week, and definitely jealous of the Winnebago for sure.
Yeah, I want one bad.
All right. Then next up is Nightmare Garage. They have put out their experience at Heads Up Hustle. So go check out that video. And they'll also be on our show, episode 119. So 2 weeks from today. And they're going to tell stories about Heads Up Hustle and their experience at the event. So if you're not following Nightmare Garage, go check them out.
Yeah, they were such a cool young couple, and we talked about this last time. Like, do we just do a next generation episode with when they come on? So they're on August 20th for the show to tell the story from that weekend. So just until you get caught up, go in there and look at those guys.
Yeah. And this next one's kind of exciting.
Yeah, hit it.
Uh, I don't know how much people have seen, but Thunder Valley Raceway Park has been back in the news again. But this time, there are rumors that it might be reopening and reopening very soon.
Yeah, they're talking like in next couple weeks.
Yes. It's like an event in the next couple weeks.
Yes. So we've got, I mean, obviously we've got our feelers out to kind of get an idea on that. I want to hear some big time confirmation. Rumors on Facebook are tough to, oh well, so and so told me, so and so did this and all that and blah blah blah. I want it from a, reputable source, and I think we have that in some good friends that we've been working with here the last couple of days. So I'm hoping that we can end up with some great news for Thunder Valley because we need that thing to open back up. Is all I'm going to say.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
would love to
There's a lot
be
of
there from
cryptic
the start.
messages right here in the section.
Yeah, yeah, tons of cryptic messages on Facebook too, dude.
Mhm.
Golly, oh man, yeah. So, anyways, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, all that kind of stuff. It would be great to have another track in Oklahoma. I know them being closed probably helps Tulsa Raceway Park in some form or fashion, but them being open helps drag racing a lot more. Them being a part of the drag racing community helps a lot. So, we'll see. I'm excited.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be good to get that back up and running again. Obviously, tracks closing are not things we like to talk about.
No, no, not at all. Not at all. And we went through a hard round of it, dude. It seemed like there were like 4 or 5 there right in a row where we talked about it for a couple weeks and the updates and all that kind of stuff. So
Right.
hopefully we're getting past some of that now. All right. Thanks again to Jay Wire. I appreciate Jay Blanchard and the team over there. Jay Wire, man, they are awesome and have a ton of really cool products that are out. They've got like a Holly High Ram. Well, anyways, just go look. jwiresolutions.com. You can find all the stuff over there.
Yep. All right, Molly Motorsports segment. Racers and high performance enthusiasts, are you ready to start your next engine build? If so, there is no better time than right now. Go check out Molly Motorsports all-in-one Power Pack piston kits. They have over 1,200 applications, and these kits come complete with pistons, rings, wrist pins, and clips, all designed to work together. Molly Motorsports Power Pack piston kits take out all of the guesswork. No more trying to determine if a piston will need this ring to work with a certain cylinder size. Molly Motorsports did all that engineering for you so you can get to the part that matters, which is building a power plant that leads you to victory lane. Visit mollymotorsports.com for more details. And for our podcast listeners, Molly is spelled Mahle. And Molly gave away a Power Pack piston kit at the circuit, which was super cool.
Hmm. Yes, for sure. I appreciate, and then obviously sent Adam all the way out here.
Yeah.
Appreciate that for them coming all the way out doing that. That was really nice of them, and I can't wait. They also get 2 entries into the circuit, and last year they gave both of those out to racers on the wait list. But we're going to actually swap it up this year for the circuit 2026. The sponsor level, at our brand sponsor level, they get entries. We're going to give those away before registration even opens up.
Oh, check that out. That's going to be
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yep. So I'm excited. So that'll kind of help, build some anticipation into registration day.
So this segment, we're going to talk about Hot Rod Drag Week. Did you see this? Goldstone posted an updated pictures about the turbos for the Corvette. Did
Oh,
you see the size of those things?
yeah. You want me to read this post he made? Because
Yeah.
yeah. So he said stainless diesel getting in the gas game. He said, although I have been running them for years on my Chevelle, he said, coming at it big time with these ball bearing, throat clearing 98 millimeter turbos. Thanks to John Gilbert and the crew for the laser etching. Also, bro,
Dang old Pro Mod turbos going on right there.
twin 98s. Like, I want people to understand. Mark Mickey ran that when he ran like a 359. like, like
Yeah.
twin 98 millimeter turbos are capable of putting cars in the mid 350s in pro mods in the 8th mile.
He's going to need that wheelbarrow to carry around those big kahunas.
Dude. And I mean, this car is basically a former pro mod.
Mhm.
Man, I don't know. That's some next level shit. Twin
Dude,
98 ball bearing. Come on. Come
yeah,
on.
look at
It's gonna
that.
be great. And I wanted to show the valve covers here too. Man, what a great looking engine.
Yeah, that's I can't wait to see this in person. I really hope that it ends up at Havlicks because Obviously, I won't be at Drag Week, so if it debuts at Drag Week, I will probably cry at home.
Hang on, I'm going to text him.
But yes, twin 98 millimeter. That is gonna be nasty. I can't wait.
It's going to be so badass.
And then the next update is Cal Hayward. Obviously, know the Pinky Drag Week dual fuel setup this time. Pump gas side is all made up on the manifold, so you can see a couple pictures going on here. So obviously there was some issues. Was it damage to the engine? I can't remember what happened.
Damage, blew a hole in the block, and that lit it on fire.
Yeah, so a little bit of damage.
Yeah.
So he is posting some updates, which you can see those pictures here. That's going to be interesting. There's a lot of racers that are switching to dual fuel setups, and definitely makes it nice so that you can switch between race fuel and street fuel for the drives.
Well, and I want to talk about this dual fuel setup real quick because I feel like this is one of the best ways to do it, right? You have two dedicated systems. It makes it easy. You're driving around on pump 91 or 88 or 85, whatever you want to drive on. And then when you get to the track, it's just simply a change in the tune and turn the big pump on.
Right, because you can see there's two sets of injectors on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So one for each fuel system, which obviously is the way to go. We've seen people that in the past that would switch out fuel, or they'd switch a ball valve to run off of a different tank. But I mean, if you can do it this way and just switch the tune, different injectors for each one, like it's the way to go.
Yeah, for sure. And this car, again, supposed to make 3,500 horsepower and has ran down the track several times this year. Just obviously with the last problems and a little bit of fire, they're going back through fixing all that, which is part of the things when you end up in a situation with a car that makes this kind of power. You're going to have stuff that's going to it's going to fight you a little bit.
Yep, no doubt.
All right, and let's talk about the Deal Brothers. Man, these guys coming out swinging. They're bringing the orange car to Drag Week, looking for the first 6-second average in Super Street at Drag Week. They did that at Six Summer for the first time, and now they're talking about like in this better air, like 670s.
Whew. Dang.
Dude, it's crazy. Plus, they got a big new partner. Says that we're proud to officially announce our partnership with AFCO Racing. Said we've been running AFCO products on our own cars and customer builds for years. As our program has evolved, so have our performance needs. We've already gone 107 to the 60-foot on a full weight 3,000-pound street car using out of the box AFCO Big Gun X shocks. But we've got even bigger goals ahead. After a conversation with Eric Saffel, who I got to hang out with at Heads Up Hustle, super cool dude, and Rex Merritt, the AFCO team went straight to work and are currently building us a set of custom valved 4-way adjustable shocks to take our small tire program to the next level. Dude,
How
I
cool
can't
is
wait.
that?
Oh, this car is going to be nuts. The question will be, can they get them back in time and get testing done, or will they be on the setup that was before? We've got, I mean, dude, I was going to say we've got a few months, but we don't. We have like 6 weeks until Drag Week. Oh my gosh, it has snuck up on us, man. Yeah. So this is going to be a big deal. This is a big thing right here, and this is currently quickest super street car ever.
Yeah.
So pretty freaking awesome.
And was in the top 3 at Six Summer.
Yeah.
Like they came in and stole third place on that. So pretty awesome.
Yeah. Congratulations to those guys, man. I can't wait. They worked their butts off and they earned every bit of the success they have.
Yeah. Because even at Six Summer, they blew the intake apart like right before Six Summer.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So Deal Brothers Racing, DIEHL Brothers Racing.
Yeah. They don't just come in and, they like you said, they bust their butts for sure.
Yeah. Yep, that'll be cool. And then Performer Built Transmissions, last little bit here for Drag Week stuff. We are this is going to be awesome because we're like 15 miles from it at Numidia. Now, I did the route. I don't know what the route is, but surely it gets us close. So I'm talking to Ryan Snyder, the owner at Performer Built, tomorrow to see what we need to do to set up some kind of, I don't know, snacks, drinks, decals, kind of fun thing, hang out for a couple hours, because Numidia is day 2 on drag week. And so if they're day 2 of drag week, that means we'll drive to Numidia that night before. And if you're going to be that close, dude, you might as well come over and hang out and do burnouts in front of the shop and all that kind of cool stuff. If that's allowed. I don't know if it's allowed, but I doubt Ryan would turn any of that away.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty cool. I hope you guys end up doing that for sure.
Yeah. Yep. So we're talking to him tomorrow. So that'll be a good one. I'm kind of pumped about that.
Heck yeah. Drag Week's going to be a blast.
Oh, yeah. Well, again, thanks so much to Molly Motorsports for their work with us. We appreciate them. They've been around here for a long time, man. They're pretty awesome. Eric Grillo and the team over there setting up everybody with all the best pistons. Eric has a set that are going in the Mustang that will be built for drag and drive. It's a phrase I feel like we've been using a lot lately. So I'm ready to for you to get started on that. I know you're so busy right now. That's probably the hardest part of the situation we have is like, when do you find time to work on that?
Yeah. Yep. And right now, Dad's car is definitely a priority because we're getting so close.
Yeah.
So close.
Yep. Made the switch from a 6-cylinder to a V8, and that's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
And then Jeremy Ortiz here saying, dang, Bill is on the show tonight. Yep, he sure is. I'm excited about this. It's going to be a good one. He's going to be up here in just a minute. He's working, getting all of his stuff set up there. We told him 8 o'clock, and we're a little bit early. So we may have to kind of spitball some stuff here, man.
What? We're early. We're never early.
Talk about stuff. What?
Yeah.
Won't you run us through the race car friends and sponsors, and then we'll work on some cool stuff.
All right, you bet. As you guys know, you guys are our race car friends. We say it all the time, and you guys are what keeps us going doing this show. Again, Mike and I up late making notes for the show. What you guys don't see is we've got a Word document of all of our notes in the background so that we don't go off track. But, we take and we search social media, we look for stories, all that stuff. But you guys are the reason we do that. So we can't thank you enough for everybody tuning in tonight, making comments. Definitely appreciate each and every one of you and everybody that has already purchased a Parking Lot Beers t-shirt. And obviously, we do a ton of traveling, going to events. We buy equipment to cover all these events, and we cannot do that without all of these great sponsors on the screen: Summit Racing, Deechworks, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Howard's Cams, J-Wire Solution, WAF Racing, Performabuilt, Transmissions, Car Change 3D, PowerTube TV, Sweet Patina, and Racing Junk. If you guys are searching for parts for your build, please check these guys out. And if you can, purchase some parts from them. And last here, our gentleman's agreement. We talk about this every week. We need you guys to make sure that you are sharing, liking out our sharing our content, liking our posts, and help us build and grow this community that we so much love. Obviously, we can't verify that you guys do that, but if you guys can do that, we are going to continue to keep giving you the best coverage that we possibly can. All right, Deechworks.
Yeah, hang on. I wanna wait. Oh, Bill is actually backstage now, so this could be perfect time. I'm back here writing notes and all that stuff. So we'll let him get set up with the camera there, and then we'll bring him on from that. Go ahead, sir.
Hit the Deechworks.
Yes, sir.
Deechworks is a leading manufacturer of high-performance fuel system components. The DW product line includes fuel injectors, fuel pumps, pump modules, fuel rails, regulators, filters, lines, and fittings, plus surge tanks. All of these things engineered to support power levels ranging anywhere from 400 up to 2,200 and beyond horsepower. Since its founding, Deechworks has been committed to delivering quality, innovation, and precision to the automotive performance industry. Every DW product is built to maximize reliability, which you need for drag and drive, and efficiency, ensuring optimal fueling solutions for racers, tuners, and performance enthusiasts worldwide. With a focus on engineering excellence and industry-leading customer support, DeechWorks continues to drive the future of high-performance fueling. And as you guys can see, for those watching on YouTube or Facebook, 10% discount code on their website. Again, use code DDR10. Get you a little bit of a discount when you're shopping over there on DeechWorks.
I know that's right. All right. Well, let's break in Mr. Bill Alexander. Dude,
What is up, guys?
this morning? This evening, I guess it's not morning.
Yes, it's evening. We had vendors in today. I had to run and go to dinner with them and run back here to get on here. So,
well, man, we appreciate that for sure. I know in your text, you're like, hey, I'm with folks today. I didn't know they'd be hanging out for dinner. So we appreciate you doing that.
yeah, no problem. I'm actually so excited to finally be on here after all this time. It's my first time being on here. So, yeah, it's good.
We talk about it all the time whenever we see it at an event. We're like, oh man, when are you going to be on? You know, you and I have talked about having the whole team on at one time. Yeah. I think we need to do that next big road trip. I need to make it my way through Memphis, and we just set the cameras up and we just riff and have some fun.
Yeah, we did the first, didn't we do the first live drag drive and repeat from a drag and drive in our booth?
Yeah, for sure. We did at was that 666?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
We're innovators, aren't we?
I'm telling you, man, we had a blast. It was it's pretty fun, and I look forward to a lot of that because we got some events coming up. Havlic's we're going to be at with a driven booth there. We're going to talk about that all in a minute. Where you guys are going to be, all that kind of stuff. But first, dude, since it's your first time, you got to tell us like who you are, or what you do.
Well, my name is Bill Alexander. I'm the general manager of Driven Racing Wheel. I've been in the lubricants formulation business for about 30 years. Pretty much the only thing I've ever done. I've worked in the oil industry, and I've developed oil for over-the-road trucks, for locomotives, for nuclear submarines, for all this stuff. But, you know, in my heart, I was always a car guy from day one. Grew up in Northern California, racing and doing stuff I shouldn't, doing dumb stuff with the cars in high school, and got the opportunity to come work in the racing industry 4 years ago. It's 4 years. I can't believe that. And it's been awesome because one of the things you love to do when you do what I do is try to develop and create formulations that are specific to different applications that like a regular motor oil wouldn't quite work as well as something that you come up with. And I've gotten to do that here at Driven for 4 years, and it's been a pretty fun ride. I'm not going to lie.
I bet, dude. That's to go from all the other stuff you mentioned, like about nuclear submarine stuff, those guys probably don't have nearly as much fun as car guys do.
They don't. As a matter of fact, the people I was with tonight are in the oil industry that I came from. And I was telling them about Michigan Mile. I was telling them how we're going to go around at all these tracks and about these cars that, you know, drag and drive to them is they don't even get it. And the one guy looked at me and he said, wow, that's a lot different from going to an STLE meeting. And I said, oh, absolutely. You know, absolutely.
I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what STLE means.
STLE is the Society of Tribologists and Lubrication Engineers. And in 2000, it's a written exam. It was an 8-hour exam and it's peer reviewed, and I passed it in 2000. And so it's what gives, well, you know, Lake Speed has one. I have one. It's what gives us guys the ability, I guess, to call ourselves tribologists, because you don't really go to school for that. So,
yeah, man, I have so many questions. So many.
Hopefully they're just fun questions. It's like 8 o'clock, man. Come on.
Yeah. I would say tribologist sounds like somebody that would study, you know, tribes. But you know, hey, I've played that joke a bunch with you. All right. Well, Eric, I know I'm going to do a bad job of alternating between me and Eric tonight because dude, you're so much fun to hang out with.
Oh no, this has got to be fun, man. So no worries.
All right. So can you give us a kind of quick recap of Driven Racing Oil's history?
Well, we were started around 2000 with Joe Gibbs Racing in NASCAR, and I wasn't there, but I've heard the story a million times, and I can tell you that back in those days with the EPA requirements and catalytic converters, zinc was determined, ZDP, that's the anti-wear additive we put in oil, was determined to be a factor in causing catalytic converters to fail. So in passenger car motor oils, they started to lower the amounts, right, to what we call a cat safe level, and cams started failing, especially flat tappet cams. Where you had roller applications, and a lot of the OEMs back then at the time were moving to roller cams as, you know, factory stuff. It wasn't as big of a deal, but in flat tappet cams, it was a problem. And in racing, it was a problem. So they went out to try to find a solution, which was to create kind of the first high zinc oil. And that was all done with Joe Gibbs and all that back in the day. Lake Speed Jr., a good friend of mine, was, you know, part of that. And from there, the development of break-in oils came, right? Because you got to break in engines, and when you've got lower amounts of ZDP, zinc is what people will commonly call it, especially in flat tappet applications, it gets hard to break in engines, you get failures. So that's really where it all started. And then that's where the racing wheels have been around longer than that. They're application specific formulations to deal with what engines do when you race them. And that could be in offshore boats and tractor pulling and drag and drive, you name it, right? But that's really, you know, where we came from, and where we came up through was the development of those application specific products that guys need when they race. And so, you know, we've developed over the years, and then now today we're a standalone company. We're in Memphis. This is all we do, right? We only do racing oil. We only we do our own formulation work, and we work a lot with a lot of really specialized suppliers that make the raw materials, the pieces we need to make a good racing oil. Because, and it's funny, those are getting harder and harder to get as the big market, the big, you know, you can go down right now and buy, you know, oil at Walmart. You can go anywhere and buy oil, but that's what the whole world needs, not what we need, what our engines need and our application needs. So as those products change, and they continue to change even to this day, the raw materials we need to make good racing oils get harder and harder to get, right? Because the whole general world doesn't use as much anymore. So, which leads us to go into developing and finding new things. So, but today that's what we do. This racing oil is what we do, and we stick to it, and we go out and try to figure out how to make it work, like I said, in all different kinds of motorsports. And it's pretty fun. It's pretty cool. I tell everybody, I guess I could be, I guess it, you know, beats working for a living. So,
right. And I
sure.
think, you know, some of the stuff that we've talked about at events and things like that, and some of the, you know, I've stood there while you've talked to racers talking about their products and stuff. You know, a lot of the times we don't get that kind of behind the scenes info. You know, so you guys being at an event is huge, because a lot of times I would think, I've never had an engine built, but it comes down to your engine builder saying, hey, this is the kind of oil I run. And that's based on experience on his side or her side too.
Yeah, I mean, I always say engine builders are the ultimate influencers in what we do, right? They're the ones, if you buy an engine from them, we always say, listen to what they say, follow their recommendations. We work with a lot of engine builders. They're probably our biggest customer area, maybe. And we're always listening to them and always getting feedback from them. But really, like I said, it kind of comes back to, you mentioned that. I believe, as I guess the guy steering the ship here, right? We can never forget who our customers are, and our customers are the guys in the garage. They're the guys, you know, building a small block Chevy with their son. They're guys that, you know, building 2,000 horsepower motors for drag and drive. Those are the people that our customer is, the guy who throws the bottle away. And I believe very strongly in us being out and involved in the communities where our oil is used. And, you know, drag and drive is one, tractor pulling is another, import drag racing, you know, there's all these communities out there. And for me, I feel it's very important that, you know, people know us. I always say I want us to grow big enough where we can do cool things, but never get so big that when we go to an event or a track, we don't go, hey, there's Chris, there's Bob, you know, there's people we know and they know us. It's kind of what's ingrained in our culture. And I think it makes us a little different. Like, you know, we don't really have voicemail. When you call here, we pick up the phone, and, you know, we feel that's very important. You know, when you look at lubricants, right, that are used in the world for all kinds of things, racing oil is like that big, right? So we feel that we're in a niche market, and the best thing that we can do is keep ourselves available and involved with the people who use our products. And quite frankly, we need them, because you can formulate the greatest oil in the world on paper, but you've got to get it out in the application and test it and get feedback. And the only way you can do it is by having people, and good relationships where you can say, hey, I just mixed this stuff up. It's never been in an engine, but if you want to try it, and you'd be surprised how many people are like, yeah, give it to me. I want to see if there's an advantage. And the drag and drive community has been really good to us for that. And I'm very grateful for it.
Well, and I was going to say that too, because the way we beat on engines is probably some of the hardest that's out there, because like with Michigan miles, you're going to drive 1,000 miles on the street, alternating RPMs. Who knows what gas is going to go in it? Who knows what air it's going to breathe? And then on the other side of that, like, you're also going to race it. You're not just cruising that car around. You're going to put it to the test. You're going to run it to the RP. You're going to run it to the rev limiter at least every day or every other day.
And drag and drive is two separate applications in one, and that's kind of unique to what we do. And then you also have to, I can go on for this for days, but the funniest thing too is it's not just the motor oil. What about the gear oil? What about the rear end? You're towing a trailer now. I mean, you're changing. There are so many things that change. And Michael, we've had this talk, before, but when I first went to my first drag and drive, and I thought, man, this is great. And like, look at what these guys are doing. I was so excited. Like, this is the environment where I could prove our stuff is good. Right.
Yes.
And the first guy I meet is Rovic. Right. And we fill his car up with oil. And I've always said, like, that was the ultimate, the way he drives it, the way he comes down, driving. He does a drag and drive before he does a drag and drive, and then he does drag and drive home. But that's always what I've really liked about it is, if you can formulate something that can stand up to this, you've got a good product for, we have a lot of customers that just have hot rods, right? Mm-hmm. Small box Chevy, they go get ice cream with their wives on Sunday. They go to local car shows, but that car is just as important to them as, our guys that race in drag and drive. And it's interesting when they'll say, well, is this a good oil? Is this going to hold up? I have a flat tappy cam. And it's like, well, look what we could do with it. Mm-hmm. And in a drag and drive application, it's kind of like the ultimate testimonial, I think, so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I want to talk about Team Driven here in a few minutes, but I'll let Eric ask some questions.
So give us some fun stories from the industry, maybe some customers or builds, kind of stuff like that.
Oh man, where do I start? I joke around and I say, man, first of all, I'm very lucky that as just an oil guy, I've gotten to meet some of my heroes, right? I got to go spend some time with Big Daddy Don Garlitz. And if I was Bill, the guy driving by, it would have been one thing, but he loves our oil, right? So he invited me and I got to, do that. There's just so many. And, I'm working a lot with Steve Morris, and working with Steve Morris is just, oh man, sometimes I want to choke him. Sometimes but a lot of funny stories. I almost think one of the funniest stories I have from it was trying to meet Michael Narks.
Oh Lord.
If you remember, I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, I got to get us into drag and drive. I got to get us involved in drag and drive. And so I got to meet this Michael Narks cat. I got to get on his thing or whatever. And I think it was Drag Week or something years ago. And I looked for him and we were texting each other and we kept missing each other. And then I'm walking out and all of a sudden the door opens in the hotel and Michael Narks steps on the elevator. And I'm like, do you know who I am? You know what I mean? It was like kind of
it was awesome.
starstruck moment. I'm like, I want to get in, and everything. And it's been, of course, very good for us. But there's a lot of them. The people that do drive and drag, I'm not saying this because I'm on drag, drive, and repeat. It sounds like I am, but some of my favorite people and best friendships that I've made are in this community because it is different than the other stuff we do. There's no way, I guess, to even, describe it. There's just so many great characters. And, for us, it's, we do, people always like, hey, I want to do drag and drive. And I'm like, you're talking to the wrong guy. I've never done one. You know what I mean? I'm in an air conditioned van, and I don't always even follow the route. I just go to the next hotel.
Right.
And, but so I miss on some of that. But yeah, I think all of it is. There's just been a lot of really really good times. I've seen a lot of weird stuff that I won't talk about at the, in this and all that. But I just think you have a lot of really neat people that man, and the stuff that what I love is when I go, what people bring now. You know what I mean? And what they do. And I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I'm an air cool Volkswagen junkie at heart. And the air cool community has jumped all over Drag and Drive, which I think is really kind of funny. And
Right. Talk about the car that's the hardest to do this in.
Yeah. I mean, but if you've noticed, there's a lot of them now. A lot of those guys got into it. And Prescott Phillips was kind of a guy that I always kind of really, really admired. He wrote a book, How to Rebuild Your Volkswagen Engine. And then one day I'm there, and there he is. I meet him, and so it's been pretty cool. There's been a lot of that, but I don't know. Funny stories, man. I don't think I have any that I can really air, but there's a lot of them.
Yeah. Well, another cool moment was kind of during Six Summer. Lumberjack ended up getting some GP1,
Oh yeah.
and all of a sudden, like, I'm sure you guys saw a good increase from that too, because and like you said, I mean, that wasn't, he was given that oil to put in by, I forget who gave it to him, but they're like, use this. It's
Kevin
gonna
at
help.
KSR. Kevin at KSR, I think.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's right.
the thing is, when I'm in a Drag and Drive, I'm actually working. Like,
Right.
people, I'm like working. I very rarely get to see any passes made. I can hear it, but I don't, I'm working. And the Cletus thing and Lumberjack and all of that unfolded 30 feet away from me that week. And I didn't know that any of it had happened until I got back. And it was, but it was funny. Like, everybody, when I get back from, I'm tired. It was like Monday morning. I rolled in, we just gotten back, and I'm sitting there, and I'm, what the heck is everybody blowing my phone up about? What is it? And then it was that. And next thing I know, it's like orders are coming in, and the guys in the warehouse are running in. Well, he pretty much cleaned us out in about 2 days, and
That's
it was
awesome.
really appreciated. But Cletus is a great guy. I like James a lot. Ty Braun, he's on Team Driven, and and he was on it for 2 years and didn't know he was on it. And then one day he came over and he's like, yeah, he's talking. I'm like, and he said, I just bought some oil. And I'm like, why are you buying oil? You're on Team Driven. He's like, I am. I go for 2 years, and he's like, well, give me some. And I'm like, okay. And it was good. But yeah, that was pretty cool. And since then, I've gone to the Freedom Factory a bunch of times for burnout stuff. We do a lot with the burnout guys and the Australians and all of them running around. And yeah, man, it's a fun time there if you ever get to go.
Oh, yeah, that's one event that's on my list is a big burnout competition next year.
Yeah, they're fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Who did you have? Where were we at when you had the two burnout guys with us? Was it 666? Yeah.
That was Craig, and and they came out and we got to know them and became friends with them, and they're out trying to promote Australian burnout. And so they'll come for like 6 months and they'll go do different events. And he called up and he's like, hey, can we come along on, it must have been, I think it was 666. And I'm like, yeah, come with. And so they kind of followed us, and he put the car in the booth, and then they did the quarter-mile burnout, where they just basically did a burnout and stuff, and it was pretty fun. But like I said, that's what's funny. You talk about all this different types of racing. Burnout, I guess, is a type of racing. It's not really racing, but you're in a competition and totally different environment, right? Totally different setup, totally different needs on the oil. We learned a lot from working with those guys on stuff. And they get a ton of fuel dilution. They use a lot of methanol, but yeah, that was really fun, and they're good guys to hang out with. Like I said, you got to go. I mean, the Australians are nuts. I'm just gonna say it. Like I can't keep up, but they're a good time, and they're good people. And I'm actually going to be going out there Oh
man,
for the first time ever. Yeah, through all that, and Driven's been it's weird. We're kind of growing. I guess we're doing a pretty good job of getting out there, and we're going in Australia big time. We're booming in Australia, and they need us to come out and do some stuff. So I get to go out there.
If you need anybody to go with you, Eric and I are here.
I would rather
you ready to donate our time.
Just go for me. I'd be good with it.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that for a minute, because you stay busy, right? So you have your regular day job, general manager. You do all this stuff there. You're captain of the ship, but then you're also at events.
If everybody else is going to go, I'm going to go too.
Yeah.
It's just the way I see it. And like what's funny, the big story I think for us with Michigan Miles is one, Tom Bailey, let us be we're the title sponsor. And for me, like that was the coolest thing ever,
Yeah.
I was giddy about it. I'm like, look at us, we're a title sponsor. We're like Motion Raceworks, which we're not, but we wish we were. And it was like, it was really cool for us to be the title sponsor on it. And next, but we're still a pretty small company. I mean, you guys know everyone who works here, right? Some of them you've known a long time. I mean, we're all like the same guys. And one day we're sitting there and somebody says, that August, we're at a lot of events. And I'm like, oh, great. No, we're at a lot of events, like at the same time. And it's like, we are. And so we start looking at it. Well, we're out of big vans. We're out of small vans. We're out of pickup trucks. And so I'm running Michigan Miles in my pickup truck with my Airstream camper because I don't have anything to make a booth at Michigan Miles, like nothing behind me, so I'll bring the camper and I'm just going to sleep at the tracks and stuff, because we have Havlicks, we have Corvettes in Carlisle, we have a tractor pull, we have a gasser race in Jackson, Tennessee. It's all like this Saturday, it just goes for like 30 days. I'm gone 10 days. I come back and then I'm gone another 15 days with events.
Wow.
And so we just, but that comes back to what we said is we really, we're not that good at marketing. We're not that good at social media. We're not that good at anything. But we're growing and we're getting out there, and I keep going, well, it must be because we go to the events and we talk to people. And it's like sometimes in business you have to say, well, what's your common sense tell you? Well, we've always gone to events, and Michael, who works for us, he does Nitro Chaos Series. He runs a funny car, and so he goes to race and work, and that's what we do, and I think that's what's made the biggest difference. But you got to be out and part of things. Going back to it, I don't ever want us to get away from that. And, last year I put a lot of, and then of course, we have car shows, hot rod stuff. I mean, it's not just the racing part. And I've always said, well, if the other guys are going to go do it, I'm going to go do it too. And like I said, I could, but I shouldn't even be saying that, because it's like, really, I'm going to go on a drag and drive. Like I could be working, right? And I'm going to, so I've got it pretty good.
Well, and you think about being on a drag and drive, that's like 8 days of work.
Yes.
And it's hard work, because it's everybody that's done one knows it's the pack, unpack, pack, unpack every day. So I can't wait to hear your experience of camping at the track. I love it. I like to camp at the track if I have a car that is capable of that, right? And I feel like you get a really good experience because you're there in the morning when everybody pulls in from the hotels. You're there late at night, 10 o'clock at night, it gets quiet. People are kind of hanging around. So at the circuit, we did the camp counselor deal, and I really feel like that's something that could work very well for drag and drive to kind of grow to that next level, because people could add another drag and drive if they didn't spend money on hotels.
Yeah, they could. Yeah.
I'm excited about that for you.
I'm doing this actually as a business case. I think that we could save a lot of money on hotels and make things easier. If this theory I'm doing proves out, we'll probably buy a couple for everybody to have one to go.
Yeah.
And
that's
because awesome. I mean, it does, even if you go to, well, like, we're going to Havlicks. I've not gone to that race. I really want to sometime. but I'll be on this one. And the other guys are going to Alex. But it's, it's the same thing now. When we go to a drag and drive, we have to set up the booth, tear down the booth, set up the booth, tear down the booth, go to a different track. And I don't want anyone to think I'm complaining, because that is nowhere near as hard as actually doing the drag and drive, like actually being in it. We're no complaints. But and when you go to an event where you're going to stay there for 4 days, it makes so much more sense to be at the track. And I'm pretty excited about it. And I think that's what we're going to do. And it just came out of the whole fact that basically we looked around and we got nothing left. Everybody's going, we got nothing. So that's all we have. And I was just going to use it as a trailer. We don't even have a car hauler that I could, like an open car hauler that I could like put a pallet of oil on and shrink wrap and drag behind me. So this is what I got to do.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That'll be really cool. Well, we're going to need some photos of that to be shared out. So yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah. Social media is tough, dude. It's one of the hardest things out there, is like getting that content and then also taking care of your customers. Cause the times I've been at the booth, dude, I don't think there's 6 minutes that goes by that somebody's not coming up, looking at t-shirts, looking at stickers, looking at the spray wax, looking at the stuff, asking a question, yeah. I want to get kind of nerdy just real quick for a minute, because I don't know anything about air-cooled Volkswagens.
Okay.
I want to know, like, why you're so into that. But then also this Grimace build that's in the back, I saw it when I came through Memphis that time. I haven't seen any pictures. I just dug through the entirety of Driven Racing Oil Facebook photo album, and I don't see any photos there either. So get nerdy with this, man. Tell us why Volkswagen air-cooled stuff, and then obviously we want to end up with why those guys have the hardest time keeping that stuff together with oil.
Okay, so why? All right, you're 16 years old and you're growing up in Northern California. You get your first car. Mine was a Volkswagen. They were everywhere. So I got one, and it didn't have a windshield. It didn't run. The old thing with Volkswagens, the only way you have oil in them is if it's leaking, right? And so that's what I started out with. And man, when you start out that way, there was always the kid that had the Camaro. There's always the kid that had, the Duster, in town, and they were fast. And you get this whole thing, well, hey, maybe I can beat that guy. Maybe I can make this, Volkswagen fast. Well, it never really happened. I never beat anybody, but you just kind of get an affinity for it. And then later, I started building big LSs and everything, like, other people in small block Chevys and stuff. But it just, that's where it started. It was my first car. And you're in high school, right? You're trying to be cool, and you've got a bug. And so you got to do something. But there is a whole community out there. There's very fast. They have their own drag racing community. And that's my first job. The weirdest thing ever. My first job was at a place called Beetle Power in Pleasanton, California. And I tore engines apart after school and, did oil changes. And I worked every day after school and all day Saturday. And we've pushed into that market, right? Because GP1 is a great oil. And I'll tell you the technical nerdy stuff in a second as to why. But we've grown in air cooled. And part of it's because I love them and I do that stuff. And this lady calls the other day and she says, I'd like to become a dealer of Driven Oil. And I said, okay. And I said, what's the name of your business? She said, Beetle Power in Pleasanton, California. I go, no kidding. I worked there in 1987. And just out of the blue, she couldn't believe it. She's like, you did? And I'm like, yeah, that was my first job. And so it's weird the way things come full circle, but that's how I got into them. Now, why are they a challenge? They're not as much of a challenge as you think. The real difference is they're air cooled, right? So they don't have a radiator. They're not using water to cool the cylinders. You're doing it with air. And they're actually technically oil cooled, right? Because the oil running through the engine comes out, goes through a cooler, an oil cooler, and comes back. So it's kind of a little bit different situation where you're using the oil as kind of a coolant, and the air, there's always a big thing, any forum or any internet thing you get on, no, they're oil cooled, no, they're air cooled, let's have this argument. Is it an engine or a motor? That's my favorite one. But it happens a lot there. But but even recently messing around with different synthetics and different conventional oils, have kind of started to figure this whole thing out about what we call the absorption and rejection of heat by oil. So as your oil is going through the engine, how well does it absorb the heat off of, as it's going through? And then when it gets to a point where it can cool, how well does it reject that heat? And in an air-cooled Volkswagen or the Corvair, I got the Corvair too. It's a great test. It's a great way to test, because if I can show better heat absorption and rejection and I'm keeping an engine cooler, the same thing is happening in an LS. The same thing is happening in a big block Chevy. It's just harder to quantify when you're liquid cooled, right? So that's why. But they're all flat tappet cams. They don't have roller cams in Volkswagen, so you got to have high zinc. It's kind of all the great stuff that goes back to where we started, right? Which was, those kind of oils. So
interesting.
Yeah.
And thinking about the absorption and rejection part of it, I mean, that's obviously highly important there. So what kind of oil temps do those guys see versus oil temps like, a water cooled big block would see?
230, 240, right?
Yeah. So a little more, I would think. I mean,
yeah. I mean, obviously they're going to run hotter, and so we run heavier viscosities. 2050 is pretty popular. 2050s are pretty popular and everything, but even in lower horsepower builds, because when you're running a little higher temperature, you want a little extra viscosity, and like I said, you're driving, right? You're going to go 3 hours and then you're going to drag race it the next day. In drag and drive, it's the same thing, but yeah, they do tend to run a little bit hotter. But you go back to it, there's so much aftermarket. I mean, we can buy really big oil coolers. We can buy more efficient fans. As a matter of fact, a guy sent me this plastic 3D printed fan that he made for an air-cooled Volkswagen, and he said it's going to flow more and do all this stuff. And I tried it, and it did. And
awesome.
And so for 30 years or 40 years, I've been into these things, and somebody just came out with a new fan, and it works better. We're always evolving, right? All forms of motorsport are always evolving, and we're finding better ways to do things, more efficient ways. And now, big thing with air-cooled Volkswagens, we were all carburetors, Webers, and now EFI is big, and that's cool. And so I don't know. I always say the oil really doesn't know what engine it's in. It just knows it has one job. And it's, to some extent that's true, but it's neat. But hey, I mean, I'm an old guy. I'm building a 500 cubic inch oil out there, and I can never drag and drive it because the only one else out there will be raw. I don't want to go after Rovic, And his new motor is crazy.
It's awesome.
That motor. Yeah, and I'm not really that good at racing either, to tell you the truth. So but
that's why I do video stuff, because I'm not very good.
Yeah, that's why I do oil. But no, I love engines. I love all kinds of engines. Keith Turk just sold us a Harley Davidson. Gosh, I don't know, Keith. Oh, Keith. It's a Harley Davidson.
With Keith.
What's it called? A V-Rod, I think. I don't.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And but it got flooded or something. But he said, "Oh, they developed the engine with Porsche, and I only bought it just to tear this thing apart and see what is it, And because it's, I think it was under. Then, well, it was underwater. Well, how much water? Oh, a couple feet. Well, then a couple feet or 6 feet. Then it was salt water, and I'm like, oh, this is just getting worse. We're just, But we have to go down there and pick it up, which will be fun, going down to Keith's house. And, But I love all engines. I'm not a Chevy guy. I'm not a Ford guy. I'm not I love old engines. I love them all. And it's fun to see what people do with them and the way they make power with them. And, now that I'm in this oil company, and I get to meet these people everyone is so knowledgeable. Like, just go out, and these guys that you only saw on social media, you only saw on their TV show. Well, now you're talking to them, and I just, I shut my mouth and I just listen to learn, and it's just really a cool thing to see. There's always that old story. When I was in high school, I did get my first small block Chevy, which I ported the heads myself with a shop vac as my airflow bench, and cracked the heads in front of the high school trying to do a burnout the first time I drove it. You go back to those days when you were 16 and you were trying to figure stuff out. And, you and a buddy were trying to figure out how to put a 4-barrel on a 2-barrel, switch out a manifold, which now you can just do. But back then you're like, do I loosen that bolt? I don't know. You do it. And you go back. That's where all of this comes from, right? This is where this love of whatever it is comes from. And I just always kept it. I always wanted to. My problem is I like to pull stuff apart, and I'm not so good at getting it back together because I get busy. You've been here. I've got project after project after project, and then some of them get lost to R&D for driven. Like my Corvair that I bought. I mean, I test oil with it now. I probably don't even need the rest of the car, but I'd like to get it on the road someday.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's all good. And
well, real quick, I want to talk about the while we're on air-cooled stuff loosely here. You hosted this huge gathering at Sick Week.
Yeah,
dude, it was so fun. How many? There were like 17 cars, 18 cars there, something like that.
Yeah,
whole group of people, man. That was pretty awesome. I enjoyed that a whole bunch.
It was, and I didn't know a single one of those people really before. I didn't know a single one of those people before I started going to drag and drive events.
Wow.
And you meet one, you meet another. They have a drag and drive air cooled page that Ben Anderson, runs, like a Facebook group.
Yep.
And they've just done a good job about, getting out there and pushing drag and drive. As a matter of fact, I mean, Hobby W's magazine, I think we did an article about drag and drive with us. I should probably get it and see it. But they've just, certain communities, seem to get out and push more. And the Air-Cooled VW guys started to rally, like, come on, let's go. Let's get 100 of them there. And then, like, I was kind of the unofficial guy, like, and I'm like, well, hold on. And but they did. They do a good job. But that whole thing has been really neat to watch it, evolve. And you're getting more and more people wanting to do. That's the funniest thing. Like, you would love working the phones here at Driven during the day, because you never know hey, I'm building this, I'm doing this. It could be a tractor pull, it could be Formula One, it could be all these different things. But one of the things I've noticed, especially over the last year and a half, is we get a lot of guys that call and say, hey, I'm going to go I want to do a drag and drive. I'm going to do my first drag and drive. What do I need? What do I need? And it's neat to see how that in our system has picked up, how the tech questions about, I'm going to do my first drive and drag. I'm going to do this. What oil should I run? What are people running? What am I going to? And that's been really cool to watch. And more than anything else, I think we've seen that. And that's cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Sweet. Well, one other thing we wanted to talk a little bit about was your team driven racers. So tell us a little bit about that and how people can become part of Team Driven.
Oh, man. All right. So I didn't know how to do social media. I didn't know how to do any of this stuff. I'm just going to be honest. And so when I first started doing Driven, it's just people, we get asked constantly, will you sponsor me? Will you sponsor me? All different kinds of racing. And we love all different kinds of racing, and we love people. We can't sponsor everybody. We're just not big enough, right? We couldn't. So one day I just said, well, I like this guy. He's cool. And so we'll put him on what we call Team Driven. We literally came up with it. We didn't even think about the name very well. And we'll call it Team Driven. You're on it. And then we would get, like, Damon Elf. Hey, Damon's a cool dude. We like Damon. He came and helped us with, beat Steve Morris at the sick thing, at the go-kart thing. So now you're on Team Driven. And they're like, what does that mean? Well, it doesn't really mean anything, but you're on, And so people will ask, well, how do I get on Team Driven? And you kind of just have to go to an event, hang out with us, and we become friends. We don't really have a good way to, I don't have a better way to describe it than that. If I did, I'd be lying.
Right.
We've always thought, like, when I've gone back in the day, I always said, like, we, like, a couple of them are just regular guys that nobody would ever really, that they're proud of their car. They're out there, they're doing it. And, they get to meet us, and I'll be like, man, that's a cool car. I like that. And it doesn't really matter about winning or anything else. It's just, he's a good guy. And then what we look for is, you're a good ambassador for Driven. most of the time, how it all started is a way for me to go out. We would, I would get on social media and this guy's like, Driven's the best. I've been using it. I don't know who he is. We've never talked to him. He was promoting us way before we promoted him. He did more for us than we ever did. So we would start to pick him that way too. Like there's this guy that, some guys that will always post about us. And then we'd be like, hey, you're on Team Driven. What does that mean? Well, we'll send you some oil, and that's worked well for us. And we don't have a lot of big names on there, but they're really important people. They're really, they're the ones that drag and drive is expensive, and no, we don't give away. You don't get like a big check, like the big check and everything. Hey, you're Team Driven. We don't have a big check. We don't even have one for us, but we'll give you some oil, and we'll try to help you out when we can. And it's been evolving and growing. But how do you get on it?
I honestly really like that idea, because then you don't have to sift through hundreds of, proposals and all this stuff. I actually think that's a really cool way to do it. You don't, we find you. That's kind of the answer.
Yeah. The best way to get on Team Driven is, one, use our oil and believe in it. Don't just run it because you want free oil. Get on it. Know it's good. Work with us. We'll make sure and then really be a fan of it, right? Then after that, talk about it. And then that's kind of how it evolves, because we're constantly watching socials. We're constantly doing that. Every once in a while we'll get, I actually will. It's great. I pick up the phone here. The phone will ring and I could pick it up and it's a guy trying to sell me a photocopier or something. I'm like, I don't, but every once in a while I'll pick it up and I'll say, oh, I'm just a regular guy. Whatever. I'm building, this Mustang. I had it in high school. Now I'm 50. My daughter just left for college. I'm working on this car. I'll send him a case of oil.
Was that Jeff Kerchick?
But you know what I mean? It's like, because it's genuine and then I'll say, send me pictures and we'll throw it on our social media. And, we'll do that sometimes just because, I have this really cool thing. Can I tell you something cool that I came up with that I'm going to do? We're going to do this thing. It's not really drag and drive, but we're going to do what I'm going to call a local car show takeover. We're going to go try to find a car show like in Cleveland or something, right? Which is at a church where there's 50 cars and they're trying to raise money for something. And we're going to load up the Driven van. We're going to go. We're going to bust it out on social media. We're just going to show up. We're going to highlight it. We're going to push it. And what I'm toying with is, out of that, these local car shows, that's how we all got into this. This is, and what I would love to do is find, that car where the guy's had it forever and he finally restored it. And he went to this car show to show it off. And I want to put it in our booth at PRI.
That would be awesome.
This is just a guy that we found who, and maybe it's not the fastest thing. Maybe the bodywork's not perfect, maybe whatever, but he built it with,
it's got a great story.
Yeah, it's got a story. And that I'd much rather put that in my booth at PRI and people walk by and go, well, why is that in there? Well, because this is what matters to us. And so I'm so excited about doing it. And Michael's out, looking now for some local shows and stuff. And, I don't know, just because the Driven van shows up, it's not like, it's a big deal, but maybe to them it would be. And give them, give out T-shirts and give out merch and just say, hey, thanks.
That's awesome.
That's the one thing companies don't do enough, is just thank people for using their stuff. And we're very thankful for everyone who uses our products. We need you.
Right. Okay. Let's end this segment and then jump into the next one.
Wow.
So again, thanks to DeechWorks for their work with us here. We've already done the Driven segment tonight, so that's the events. I didn't want to do that with you on here. I wanted to keep the events going because people are used to seeing that in the first part of the show. So thanks again to DeechWorks. We appreciate them and all the work they do with us. And again, code DDR10 works on DeechWorks site and Driven Racing Oil site, so you can do discounts on both of those there. Off your total order. So pretty exciting. And then Performer Built Transmissions, y'all, this one is a good one because I'm excited about these guys. We're going to be up there here momentarily. So Mr. Eric, if you want to read that in there, we'll do it.
Absolutely. Performabuilt is the official transmission builder of Drag Drive Repeat. At Performabuilt Transmissions, the goal is to engineer and build the toughest transmissions on the planet. Performabuilt doesn't just rebuild transmissions, they systematically re engineer each model to eliminate OEM flaws and to achieve the highest levels of performance. That is why they say their transmissions are not just built, they are Performabuilt.
Yep. And we're working on a plan to hang out at Performabuilt Transmissions at the end of day one. Route, snacks, drinks. We're doing a special decal for the routes out there for Hot Rod Drag Week because we're going to be so close to the Numidia Dragway is like 15, 20 minutes from Performabuilt. So we're going to be over there doing that. So for the folks that are jumping in, we got Bill Alexander from Driven Racing Oil on tonight. This dude he's awesome. He's been telling fun stories, but now we're going to kind of switch gears, man. I want to talk 100% about Drag and Drive. I know we've been talking a little bit about it, but I definitely want to dive into some of that. So if you guys, again, are new, Bill is the man over at Driven Racing Oil. He gave us some great stories in the last segment about air-cooled VWs, his first job, what he does there, what they do there, all that kind of cool stuff. But now it's time for some fun. So as we get into this last segment, dude, Nolan wanted me to ask about you almost getting in a fight with some famous metal artist back in the 80s. What is the story here?
That's all hearsay. I can't say. Well, I grew up. I grew up in Northern California in the 80s. A lot of bands in the area. Metallica started there. Megadeth, Faith No More, all that, and I had the privilege of growing up in that. And they make fun of me because they think they don't like my music, you know. But it could be a band that starts with the letter M, a big one.
Nice. Well, hey, you had to get in there, and I can only imagine that story. We'll tell that story when we're together next.
I'll choke Nolan tomorrow.
That's awesome. Well, dude, tell us. You kind of gave a little bit of that earlier about the why you like Drag and Drive, but man, let's dig down. What's your draw? Like, you don't have to go to these events. You don't have to put in 7 or 9 days worth of travel and doing all this stuff. But why do you yourself like to go to these events?
They're fun. I mean, one, I aspire to do it. Okay. I've threatened to do it for years and years but they're fun. And I have seen okay, 666. I'll be fully honest tonight. 666 almost killed me. Oh man, it's far, it's long. I got sick off track food somewhere, but then I look back at the stuff I saw. Like Cadillac Ranch. All this stuff along the way. It's fun. I very much admire the people that do it. I mean that in the way of, the way they help each other out. When you're on the side of the road and then you see 3 cars backed up, everybody, trying to help. And, I always thought, that was really cool. I like that. But I like that we're in Drag and Drive and we're a part of Drag and Drive. Basically because it's cool. Think of the tracks that I've gotten to go to. I maybe would never have gone to, other than, if we just did the stuff that we do, I'd be at all the big NHR tracks, Joliet, and they're great. Don't get me wrong, but, like Mocan, I was looking at, and some of them I've not, Ubley, I was just reading about it the other day. I'm like, it's so cool. Same family has owned this track for whatever. And
60 something years. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's good for racing, right? To come to this track that, we do need to save our tracks. I mean, I'm in Memphis. We don't have a track anymore. You guys, you know what I mean? And so for some of these smaller communities, I think that's really important. But that's why I like doing it. It gets me out of here. So I am technically working. I'm in an environment where I can learn more about what our oils can and can't do than anywhere else. But man, I've gotten to see, just in these last few years, I've seen some pretty cool stuff. And I've been in Michigan. I go up to see Steve Morse, from time to time. He's about as far north as I've been. But along the way, I didn't know there was like beaches and sand dunes in northern Michigan, right? Like, and they're beautiful. They're like really cool. And then you look at, I've never been to Mackinac and all that. So this gives me an opportunity to not only get out and see the people I become friends with and be part of motorsports, which I love, but to actually have this great experience. And I think that's what the draw is to, and of course the racing. I mean, you see some pretty fast times, you see some, and the engineering that goes into some of these cars and these things that these guys have built, you just see cool stuff. I mean, I have my beater C6 Corvette that I always talk about. It's been stolen. It's been broken in 50 times. It's been hit by a semi twice, but I keep putting it back together, and it's kind of my daily, and it's kind of not. But, I was there one time and I saw the guy with the C6 that he put the roof rack on it, put his tires on. And I'm like, that's awesome. Like, and so you just see a lot of cool stuff like that. And I think that's why. I mean, what could be funner than going out and doing something like this? And like I said, I keep threatening one of these days I'll actually run one, but I think I'll probably end up just working them. But yeah, I think that's why. And not that anything going fast and engine and power is fun, but there's an adventure attached to it, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's the street side of it that it. Yep, I agree.
Well, we got another must-ask question from Nolan.
Why is no one even involved in this thing?
He said we have to ask you about the journey entering the world of Drag and Drive.
The journey entering the world of Drag and Drive.
That's what he said.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Nolan. I can't help you there, buddy.
I would imagine it would go back to kind of the last segment where you're telling, the difference in being at different tracks every day. And then, maybe there's some story about getting all involved there. Well, I want to talk about the Steve Morse oil development. Walk us through how that happens, because there's a lot of engine builders. You and I've had this conversation. There's a lot of that goes on out there. Steve Morse, obviously one of the most, he's out there a lot. He's putting stuff on in the world. So, one, what makes his oil different? And then two, how nerdy did you guys get?
Oh man, it's nerd level times two. So how it happened is I met Steve and Steve and I just, we started kind of busting each other a lot, I'd call him S'mores and, whatever. And I just really like Steve. Steve's always been very cool to me, and we got along pretty good. And then one day he goes, I want my own oil. And I'm like, okay, all right, that's what I do. So why don't we? It was literally that was all that went into it. And then I started saying, okay, well, tell me about your engines. He runs high bearing clearances, big bearing clearances. A lot of guys in Drag and Drive are running heavy mono grades, and that's great till it's sick week and it's in Florida and it's 35 degrees in the morning when you're going out and firing up your car. And so, I guess working with Steve, and Steve has taught me a lot. And this is where I go back to. I can formulate an oil. I know what the parts of the oil do. That's what I do. But I need feedback for people to tell me, all right, well, this is a problem we're experiencing. This isn't lubricating right. This isn't whatever. So I rely on other people for some of that feedback. Steve's engines have a unique, they're his engines, right? He's machining the blocks. He's doing all that. So it was an opportunity to work on a project where I could say, in this application, what do we need and what we don't need? And through Steve and talking and looking at stuff, we've been able to prove. But it also what led to a heavy, not a 70 weight monograde, but a 25 W60 oil that can kind of handle the drive and the drag. And so I've nerded it up pretty good. And the nice thing too about Steve was it was like I could do whatever I wanted. It's like I could work kind of on the oil that I would make, right? Which really all driven oils are, but this one was honestly, at first I thought he'd be the only one that would ever use it. Like I didn't, I just thought, oh, here you go, Steve, I made this. But as we worked on it and developed it, it's like, wow, this is good. And people are now hearing about it in other kinds of motorsports. Like, I know we're supposed to stay on drag and drive, but there's these guys that race BMWs that have to run this 60 weight oil they can't find. Well, this one will work. So they're going to probably be running small oil, Steve Morris oil, and they're, whatever. And so that was kind of a really cool thing. But that's how it became. Is it literally, I don't remember what drag and drive it was. It could have been summer or 2 years ago, whatever. He just said, I want my own oil. And I said, well, let's work on one. And it was just cool the way, it all developed. And, and then of course, I got it and he's running it. And, Steve likes to go, okay, let's put it in, let's go. And I'm like, hold on. We got to test. We got to do this. We got to, I got to try to pull him back a little bit. But that's probably where we're a good fit, because I'm a lot more conservative maybe than he is on. He'll run it. He'll want to test it. And that's what I need. And so that's worked. And the development has been really fun. And then he decided he wanted, then he's like, we're almost ready to come in. He's like, I want it to be blue. And I'm like, wait, blue? Like blue. So I had to dye it blue and work on the dye for, to get it the right color. But yeah, it's been a really, really, really fun thing that we're doing. And it's pretty close to being ready. He's going to run some more and I'm going to get some more data, but I think we're finally tweaked where it is. And I'm proud of it. And like I said, and it's funny, there's a lot of other guys that, it's one of those things. I don't think you just have to have a SMX or a Steve Morris engine to run it. It's going to run in other applications as well. But the testing, the development that went into it is how we can prove it out. And that's a unique opportunity for me to have that side of it from the guy building it, not only building the engine, but the parts. Engine builders, man, they are so important to us. And, we work with a lot of them and we'll work with a lot more, always. But it was a development opportunity from scratch that kind of came from a friendship, which if I never went to drag and drive, I never probably would have met Steve. So.
Yeah. And I try and explain that to people everywhere. Like, drag and drive is so important because it's such a small community, but we're so tight. Like the folks that come to these events and the folks that support the community, man, it goes a long way, because this will be a big sport. Like this will be a big motorsport. There's no way it can't be.
It will. And, like I said, it comes back to, I formulated oil. That's what I do. I'm an oil guy. And then I'm kind of running driven and, marketing and social media, all these things. I didn't know how to do any of them. And, I met Tom Bailey. If you remember the drag, it might've been like the drag week where Steve and Tom are running it. And Steve had to pull his motor apart in the Holiday Inn parking lot. Mm-hmm. And all those people were standing around. Well, then here's a story. The night before, I ended up at some weird Holiday Inn that somebody here booked for me. I don't even know. It was like somebody made a mistake. I was way away from where I needed to be. Like there was usually in drag and drive, you pull in, there's a guy over there. There was nobody. But Tom Bailey and Steve Morris were in that same weird hotel. So it was us, me and Kirk McIntyre from Driven, and them. And we just started talking in the parking lot. And that's when, Tom just said, hey, you should be with us. And he did it in his typical way where, hey, you should work with us. You'll be glad you did. And I went, well, okay. And that was it. And we started, and it's been really good for us. But those kind of things can only happen in environments like that, and I guess when you go back to it, why is drag and drive great? Well, you could just be hanging out in the parking lot of a hotel. You don't know who you're going to meet and who you're going to talk to. And, I'm not you guys, as far as you guys get everybody, but I just got a call from a magazine, a very well-respected racing magazine that comes out of England. They do mostly just really high-end Formula One stuff and all that. Yeah. And they sent me out and they said, hey, will you help us write an article about drag and drive? And I'm like, I guess. Like I said, I've never done it. I just go to them. But that's it's a really high-end, well-respected kind of thing. And so it's touching, it's continuing to grow, but it's drawing interest even from not higher levels of motorsports, but when you would think are, kind of bigger, more dollar kind of stuff. And yeah, that's been
awesome.
cool to watch that happen.
Yeah, that's
Talk to
awesome.
everybody. The Swedish guys, that street, they want us to come out there. I guess we're getting popular out there, and you got
Yes.
to come out to Sweet Week. So, and I got to go, and so
Yeah.
it's like, you know what?
You need help.
Right? These are the problems I have. I have to go to. I got to go out to Street Week Sweden, but hey, I guess
You'll love that.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
so. Yeah,
super cool area too.
yeah.
And really cool cars, dude. There were so many cars in the fours over there, and two of the racetracks were airports.
Yeah. I didn't know, hot rodding in Sweden is huge.
Mhm.
Like, just like, 50s hot rodding culture. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, super cool. So give us a couple stories of how you've either helped people or saved people while being on a drag and drive event.
Boy, I wish I knew this guy's name. We had this guy come up. This is my favorite one. And he came up and he said, "I have stripper glitter in my oil." I'll never forget this. And I went, "Stripper glitter?" And he said, "Yeah, I just drained my oil and it's full of glitter." And I said, "Well, where is this oil? Go get it." So he comes back with a drain pan, and it was, I guess you call it stripper glitter. And I looked at it and I said, "Well, what kind of oil is this?" And he said, "Oh, no, I just got it at O'Reilly's. This is my first drag and drive. I just really, really want to finish. I just really, really want to finish." And I'm looking in this oil pan going, "You're not probably going to finish, but all right." And I said, "Well, there's a couple of things we can do, but I don't know if they're going to work." So, I gave him 2 cases of oil, had him flush the motor, had him change the filter. I gave him like 3 filters. I wish if you're watching, please, you know who you are. I lost touch with him after the event, but, and then we ran GP1 and I did a pretty heavy vis in it. Cause when you're at that point, the motor's going to go, it's going to go. So you're just trying to get it through. And he actually did get through. And
That's awesome.
it was kind of maybe similar to that Cletus story, but it was a series of, and then the next day you got to flush it, you got to drain it. I kept giving him the oil because I was rooting for him. I wanted him to see him, and he backed out, and it ended up being a input shaft on his turbo. That's where it was all coming from.
Oh, wow.
But we got him through, and then we had another guy that was running. Which one was it? It was 66, and he was, I don't know if he was like doing drag and drive or if he was more doing the sick driving it, but he had a Mustang and he had lost ring seal. I don't think he broke the motor in properly. And he was kind of bummed. He was afraid he wasn't going to make it. And so I said, "Well, let's break the motor in again. We got nothing to lose." We had some break-in oil, so we ran it back through the break-in procedure, got him ring seal back, switched him over to GP1, and he made it. So,
That's
those
awesome.
are things. Those are things that are cool for me to be a part of and try to help. More goes into it maybe than I just explained, but we're kind of always that way. The owners of Scooter and Ron own the company. Hopefully they're not watching, but generally if a guy comes up and he's a pinch and he needs a cord or something to get through, we'll throw it at him. Come on, just give it to him. And so we try to do that when, we can,
that one quart that you gave probably has sold, 10x.
Yeah, probably,
Yeah.
And it's not a big, it's not the end of the world to us, but like I said, sometimes, drag and drive is expensive, and when they're out there, that's their vacation. That's the other thing I've come to realize is we have to, as a vendor, like, anybody who comes up to our booth, we got to show them time, we got to show them respect, and we got to talk to them because they spent a lot of money to be doing this. Even if they just, one of the things I've noticed is the spectator counts grow. Like not just, the guys that are running, I say a drag and drive, but the people that come up to our tent or our booth or whatever that just took the day off work and came down here and they just want to check it out because they're thinking about doing it. And that's expensive, like, to do. And, all taking a family of 4 out to do, a race or a drag race is pretty expensive. And I've always stopped and said, man, we owe these people the respect of giving them the time. Coming and talking to a guy about oil, that may not, change your world or your life, but they pay to get in there. They pay to run this event. Let's make sure we're there and we're engaging with them and literally trying to help them out and make the right choice. And, and I think that's really important. So a quart of oil, now I said that, don't come to my booth trying to get all this free oil. I still have to, but I mean, it's so, it's weird. You can tell you can tell the guy that a quart of oil is going to make or break his day based on what he's been through, what he's going through. And if I see that guy, I'll help him out.
That's awesome. And, while you're on the topic of spectators and people coming up to the booth, dude, let's talk about the events you got coming up this next week, like literally next week. So I want to know who's working Michigan Miles, man. Who's going to be there? I guess you are.
I'm going to be Michigan Miles with Ashley. Kirk is with Ken up at Carlisle, PA, the Corvette deal. It's Carlisle, PA is big. Robin and Jeff are going to Havlicks.
Awesome.
Michael's got Nitro Chaos somewhere. He races in it too.
That weekend. It's that same weekend, isn't it, Eric?
Yeah, he got a pretty smoking deal.
Iron or something like that.
He got me on that. You know what I mean? He gets to go race and work, but so he's got that, and then we have Texas versus the World, which is the big Air Cool VW thing. We have the Ohana Reunion in Medford, Ohio. We have, honestly, there's so many of them that you get to a point here where, like, just tell me, where do I have to be? I just want to know where I have to be to plan my month, But, and then they keep going, because then we'll have 6 Smokies. We'll have, the granddaddy of them all, don't forget, guys, PRI. PRI is, man, it's going to be here before you know it.
4 months.
We're not ready. I'm not ready.
Yeah, we're getting ready for PRI. We're 6 Smokies, Import and Domestic World Finals. I mean, there's just so many, and it's weird. But in July, you have like that lull, and I always say it's because it's so hot, nobody wants to do anything, and then so now we're just about to get spun up again, but. I don't know. I'm pretty excited about it. There's a bunch of them coming. Just always follow our social media. Yep. We try to do the best job as we can of getting that stuff out. Sometimes it's like, hey, did somebody post we're here? No, do it now. But right. We're not. We're oil and car guys. We're not.
Well, and what's funny is how many photos and videos of cars are on your phone that have never been posted.
That have never been posted? A ton. An absolute ton. And video. When you get to be, here's the thing. I'm over 50. At 50, you kind of just give up. You go, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like, I took a
stopped video, at a certain level.
It's like, and my dad did it. My grandfather, this is what we do. But the other day, I did a really good interview with Brett LaSala that I never posted for like 2 years ago, that I found on my phone like a week ago. And I'm like, well, I can't post it now.
Throwback Thursday. Of course you can.
Yeah, Throwback Thursday. Hey, I know Nolan's watching. We need to see that Brett LaSala video from 2 years ago.
Oh, man. There's so many of, because I got in real big in trying to do videos. I'm going to interview you, right? And it's, I'm so bad. It's so dumb. I'm like, so why are you doing this? And I'm like, well, that was a dumb question. I'm not that guy. I'm just not. But I am. I do really want to do an interview. I've tried to do a good interview with Goldstone for like 2 years now. You know what I mean? And
write it off, dude.
No, I'm going to get it. I am going to get it. And so, maybe the guys can get it. I think he's going to be a Havlicks, I think. Yeah. So
Goldstone is awesome. The key to him is like, he doesn't need to be serious. Like when that camera comes out, he's like, he is giving an interview. You know what I mean? But like when that camera is down and away, he's hilarious. He's joking,
He
he's
is.
trash talking, all that kind of stuff the whole time.
Yeah,
So we're finally seeing some of that come out of him.
yeah, no, you do. He's a good dude. I love
Yeah.
hanging out with him, and like he was eating my yogurt, which was he kept coming in the booth and take. I like this expensive yogurt because it's a ton of protein, and he kept taking my yogurt, and it was he kept in. But I was sitting there, and he's eating my yogurt in my chair, and James from Cletus's group was like doing this. Come here, I need to talk to you. And Ashley was over talking to somebody else, and I'm like, Goldstone, you're gonna eat my yogurt. You're gonna watch our booth while I'm gone. If somebody comes up here, you're gonna answer their questions. I gotta go because sometimes it happens.
Yeah.
And what am I gonna do? I said, just whatever. And I don't know if it's true, and I don't know if he's listening, but I guess some guy walked up and said, "Hey, is this pretty good?" And Goldstone just looked at him and said, "Well, I run it. Look at me."
That sounds about right too.
And I didn't know if that was true. One of the other guys standing there told me that, but no,
That's awesome.
I love Goldstone. When I first had to go introduce myself to him, I was like intimidated. He's kind of, I was intimidated, but whatever. But then you get to know him, man.
Yeah.
He's just such a good dude, and I like him a lot, and he's good at it, man. He's good at what he does.
Yeah.
And you gotta respect him. But one of my favorite people, absolutely.
100%. Yeah, he is awesome.
Mhm.
Eric, what else do we need to know from Bill?
I don't know. I think we covered most of it.
Man, what have we forgotten to ask you, Bill? There's some. We're gonna end this, and we're gonna be like, oh man.
Guys, it's just us. Let's not. No, I'll end it this way. I'll say thanks to everybody who supported us out there. Like I said, we really truly appreciate it. Michigan Miles, please come see us. To me, it's kind of a big deal. It makes us kind of feel cool that we're the title sponsor of it. It's a big deal. We're just going to go out and have, a good time. We did send out an email because of our limited transportation situation and stuff. I'm not going to be carrying as much oil as we typically would. Right. So if you need oil, call us and we'll try to get it to you. I mean, we'll have oil for emergencies and stuff like that. But, I have a little Airstream, like 16 footer, and, man, by the time I get my stuff in there, I don't have much. So, but we're going to go out and have a good time. And if we've never met, hey, please come by and just say hello. I'd like to meet you. But yeah, Michigan Miles, I'm pretty excited. It's going to be cool. So,
well, and dude, Ubley Dragway is awesome.
I know.
It has like that feel of Mocan is
okay.
The kind of feel I got when we were there with Heads Up Hustle. Mid-Michigan Motorplex. Primo stuff, dude. I love that track. It's so.
Is it like George Ray's Wildcat drag strip?
Ubley is a little bit like George Ray's. You kind of get a little bit of that feel. Like quarter mile at Ubley would be sketchy. Eighth mile at Ubley, no problem. They full concrete pour, all that kind of stuff. But quarter mile at Ubley could be pretty interesting.
I mean, I've been to Milan. What about to Milan? What about, have you been to the other ones like North Michigan in them?
I hadn't been to North Michigan, but like Mid-Michigan Motorplex, dude, wait till you see that. I don't know what they do different with the grass up there, but it's gorgeous.
Is it?
And so but the North Michigan thing, I'm interested to see photos of that. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, me too. Like I said, I'm going back to it. That's the cool thing about drag and drives. These are tracks I may never get to ever see,
Right.
And I love drag strips. I love tracks. It's just cool to go, especially to see one and think about generations of guys just racing there back in the day. And yeah, it'll be cool.
Well, and Eric and I say it all the time, like it gives you a reason to go to tracks you would never have a reason to go to. We're seeing that with a lot of like veteran drag and drive racers. They're like choosing to go to a drag and drive that's a long way from their house because they're getting a chance to visit new tracks and see new people and meet new race car friends and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. That's, like I said, that's the best part of it. So
sweet. All right. Well, let's put you backstage and then hang out with us for just a minute.
Oh, I get to hang out backstage. Hey, as a guest, do I have like just just the M&Ms, the green M&Ms I requested. And do I get any of the? Do I get any of the amenities or what?
I thought it was yellow on the writer. It was yellow. That was
Oh,
Nolan said
I'm
that
out.
you only liked
I'm out.
yellow.
You guys are
M&Ms.
following the instructions.
All right,
Cool.
thanks, man.
Sounds
We
good.
appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah, man. See you.
Awesome, dude. How much fun was that? That
Yeah,
guy's
that-
so smart, man.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. He's always a good time to talk to.
Yeah. Yeah, he is a blast, and I can't wait for everybody to hang out with him at Michigan Miles. I can't wait to hang out with Jeff. Jeff was the one that came to the circuit 2025, so we're gonna get to spend some more time with him at Havlicks, and of course, Robin is awesome. If you guys don't know this, Robin is like the de facto model on the Driven Racing Oil Facebook page. So
Nice.
go over, make fun of him doing that when you see him this next weekend at Havlicks.
Yeah, everybody that we've ever interacted with at Driven has been super awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that is for sure. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for being a race car friend. Thank you for hanging out tonight. Thank you for the comments, man. It was pretty cool. Everybody in here asking questions, making comments, stuff like that. Appreciate that for them. And, if you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button wherever you're at right now. And then, of course, our sponsors, can't do this without them. It's always fun having a sponsor on to talk about some of the nerdy stuff that goes on behind the scenes and tell fun stories and just give you guys a chance to meet them so you know who you're looking at whenever you're out at the events. So Summit Racing, we appreciate them a whole bunch. They're out at Reno this week. They'll be at Drag Week for sure. Thanks so much to Deechworks. We got to hang out with them when we were at Mega Week. We stopped by there. Molly Motorsports, who's we've hung out with a bunch at different events. Driven Racing, well, Bill was on tonight, and then we're getting to see them at Hot Rods by Havlik, Fastest Streetcar Shootout next weekend, Howard's Cams, J-Wire Solutions, Performer Built Transmissions, Car Chains 3D, WAF Racing, Power Tube TV, Sweet Patina, and Racing Junk Classifieds. Y'all, if you're shopping, hit these folks up, see if there's something they got for you. We would appreciate it a whole lot. And we'll see you guys Saturday morning when we have Jacob on from the I-57 Dragon Drive. And man, we're going to be Saturday morning. It's going to be crazy. It truly is going to be a very fast paced show. I'm already making notes for it and all the stuff that's coming up for Dragon Drive. So see you guys.
All right. Thank you. See you Saturday.
Yeah.